So direct variation is a type of variation where we have two things that vary directly or proportionally. So with this, basically what happens is when one increases, the other is going to increase as well. And if the first thing decreases, then the other thing will decrease along with it. In direct variation problems, we have this equation. The equation that we use is y equals kx. And basically, this is saying that our output, we only need to multiply our input by the same value every single time. So we're going to multiply whatever our first variable is by a constant, and that'll remain the same throughout that entire problem. So no matter how many different variables or types of situations we deal with in that particular problem, that constant k will remain the same every single time. So let's take a look at our first example here. It says if y varies directly as x, so right here is the indicator that we are going to be using a direct variation equation, that we have a direct variation situation. And y equals 12 when x equals 8. Find y when x equals negative 4. So what we want to do with this is basically we're going to take our first x and our first y value here. We're going to use that first x and y to figure out what our constant is, to figure out what k is. Once we know our constant, we can then use that in our next equation to figure out what that missing value of y is. So we're going to start by inputting our first x and our first y into our equation. So remember, we're starting with y equals kx. We're going to put 12 in for y and 8 in for x. And then we're just going to solve this for k. So we're going to divide by 8. And we can absolutely leave this as a fraction. K is going to equal 3/2. So now basically we know, since k is 3/2, that instead of just using y equals kx, we're going to use y equals 3/2 x for any type of situation that we deal with in this problem. We know that k is going to stay the same as long as we're working with that same information. So we now have the equation y equals 3/2 x. If you remember back to our original problem, we were told that x was negative 4, and we were trying to figure out what y is. So now that we have this equation, and now that we know what k is, all we need to do is input negative 4 for x, and we can simplify that to get y. So when we multiply that, 3/2 times negative 4, we're going to get negative 6 for our y value, and that is our answer.